Tell me, Matilda, do you get turned on reading that book, or are
Oh my
you there
gosh.
for the journey?
No, I get so turned on, but I'm just like in the car listening to it. And I had this moment of being like, what if I have a car accident right now? And like all that's playing is like his thumb caressed my mouth and then he pulled me in closer and it's like,
Oh my God,
what if
so
that's the
good.
thing playing when I have a bloody car
Well,
crash?
sometimes when I go and do the school run, pick up the kids, I'm listening to something like Sex.Life because I'm just like 1 or 2 episodes behind. I'm like, oh God, what's happening next? And then I forget sometimes to switch it to Spotify before they get in. And then the car comes back on and it starts playing before you can hit pause. And you're like,
Oh God, oh gosh.
Yeah, I know. I get so many stories like that from people, like in ambulance bays and things like that, where it just like their phone connects in straight away and then it blares out in ambulances, or like people in traffic. It's even Bluetooth to other people's phones.
oh, amazing.
Yes.
So good. One of my friends, I won't name you, but you listen to the show, was like having a little like just daytime maz. And she couldn't understand, delving into a little Pornhub, couldn't understand why she couldn't hear it. So she kept like turning it up and turning it up and turning it up on her phone. What she'd forgotten was that previously she'd been doing a gym workout in the garage with one of those giant speakers, you know,
Oh my
the
God.
real big one
And
right
it's
next to the neighbours, and it's blaring Pornhub.
Oh my God, blaring in the garage. Imagine seeing your neighbours and they'll be like, oh, bit of a doozy yesterday, wasn't it? Crikey.
So good. What I will say, a little travel hack here. Just bearing in mind, Maddie, sometimes you'll be tired traveling home.
Yes.
There was one time when I had to travel all the way back, like an 8-hour drive or something from Wanaka to North Canterbury. And I had a bit of a big night the night before, and I was a bit concerned about driving safely and how I was just going to stay alert.
Mm-hmm.
So what I did was I listened to erotica for 6.5 hours.
Wow. Amazing that you were still on the seat by the end of it.
They were leather seats too, at least you could wipe them down. But I was very alert. So little travel tip there, just drive safely, people. Just drive safely.
Yeah. Erotica has so many things that it can help with.
Right?
Doesn't it?
Yep. Safety never takes a day off. Well, listen, shall we get into it?
Let's
do it.
Just a little word of warning here, people. If you haven't noticed, today we're going to be talking about sex and relationships and sexuality and all of the things. If now is not a good time to listen, or you're attached to your Bluetooth speaker in the garage, please choose another time and check your sound settings. Okay?
It's a bit late, isn't it? We've
It's
already
too
talked
late.
about Pornhub and erotica, but sure. We got to put it in somewhere.
Well, kia ora, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Untidy. My name is Hannah Davison. I'm a mother of 2, but let's not focus on the children today. All right?
Yeah, it's not about the
And
kids.
an author,
it's about
etc.,
us.
etc. This is all about us. Okay. Listen, we're thrilled to have on the show Aotearoa's leading and, let's say, most munchable somatic sexologist, Morgan Penn.
That is the kind of entrance I want. Thank you.
That's what you need. You can put that on your website. I won't mind at all. Morgan is the co-host of the multi-award-winning podcast Sex.Life. She works with individuals and couples to reconnect and enhance their sex life. And as you may know, and you will hear, Morgan is fun. She's funny, but she's got a serious message as well, because she is passionate about breaking taboos around sex, bodies, and pleasure. She is committed to educating and supporting people to have empowered sexual relationships and start the conversations of how to have great sex every day. Morgan, thank you for joining us on Tidy to answer some of our listener questions. We're so excited, if you haven't noticed already, to talk about sex, sexuality, and pleasure.
Oh, no, thank you for having me. Like, I really was excited when you reached out again, because I just love you gals. So,
Oh, we love you too.
we love you
Honestly,
too.
I get so I get so nervous before a sex chat. I'm like, oh my God, we're gonna be talking about sex. I can't deal with it. But it's great. Like, I'm here for it. But like, I just get so like, oh my God, awkward around sex chat. So anyway, but we're gonna go deep, as it were, with this chat. So let's just bloody settle in. Morgan, can you lead us through a little exercise to ground us before we start?
oh, I would love to. And firstly, can I just say, Matilda, I honor your bravery. I get it.
Thank
You
you.
know that this is important for the world and for children that we are bringing in and up into this space. So,
100%.
yes. All right, darlings. Well, let's just take a moment to really drop into our bodies, starting to notice your actual physical body in this space. So maybe it'll help to feel your feet on the ground, your buttocks and thighs being held by the chair if you're seated. And then from this place of holding and being held, can you just soften 1% more into your body and just start to notice your breath and really noticing how that breath moves you from the inside out. So you may feel your chest rise and fall. You may feel your belly move in and out. And just stay with the rhythm of your inner landscape. And just be here exactly as you are in this moment. All of you is welcome here. And now we're going to bring a little more consciousness to the breath. We're going to take 3 deep breaths into the 3 powerhouses that we want online. So we're going to take 1 deep breath into the heart. And let that go. Next breath down into the belly. And softening here. Next breath down into the base, down into the genitals. And really anchoring in here. Let your pelvis be heavy. And let's take 1 more breath, just feeling in for the totality of your body. And just easing into your natural breath, and already gently opening the eyes and coming back into this space.
Oh my God, that was so nice. Okay, I feel much calmer. I had a bit of a manic energy. Now we've collected
here.
it.
We're here.
Beautiful.
Amazing. Okay, well, what I've done is I've started out with a few little foreplay questions. So, Morgan, what can you expect to be different in your life when you tap more into your pleasure and into really honoring and prioritizing your sexuality? What are the benefits and what can that open up for us?
Well, to me, I think your whole life gets better. I think you actually find pleasure in the small places. We're often thinking that pleasure is really big and it just happens in the bedroom. But to me, pleasure, if you orient your life around pleasure, you find pleasure in a bit of sun warming your back, the wind kissing your lips as it husses past, that first smell of coffee in the morning. And when we are living a life finding the pleasures, we have more gratitude. We feel good. We feel like there is lots to enjoy in this world. And so when you're honoring your body in that kind of a way, that piece to the question around, what was it? The honoring of the...
Honoring and prioritizing your sexuality.
Yeah. It just means that you get more in touch with what you're actually desiring, because if it's sort of put in a box of like a sometimes thing or occasional or almost dreading it like a chore, that's what it stays as. Whereas like when you're actually bringing that to the forefront, you get a more of an opportunity to figure out daily what you're actually craving and what you're needing. And often it's not sex as we know it, it's nurturing touch, it's tender kisses, it's a massage, it's a handhold, it's some deep hearty chats. It creates a full sexual or pleasurable menu instead of just sex.
I love that because it brings you to the present moment as well when you're living your life honoring those pleasurable moments. It brings you into your body when you're noticing it, and then you can have space in your mind to start to think creatively and not just day to day. Yes, I love that.
I love that too.
Absolutely.
I've noticed, I think when you really embody that sense of like pleasure and bliss and sexuality in your life. And I've noticed through like just having like meditation in my life for the length of time that I have, that there is so much pleasure on every level, like so much bliss and so much pleasure on every level from like really everyday things. And you're feeling these sensations in your body that are like so pleasurable that you might have previously just associated or got from sexual connection or intimate connection. But you're like, oh, this is just bubbling up. This is just coming through. And I think it's just like that embodiment and allowing it to be as part of and throughout entire life and entire existence, rather than, compartmentalized or limited or boxed into that's for sex.
You are spot on, and especially when you talk about sensations, because this is a thing so many people are really disconnected from their bodies, that quite often I will, in a coaching session, say, okay, tell me what you're noticing sensation-wise in your body, and people cannot name sensations. They're that disconnected that it's really, I have to educate what a sensation actually is and to get them to actually feel and reorient to what's actually happening in the body. And you're right, it is presence. If people were more embodied and present in their body experience of the world, there'd be less anxiety, because you wouldn't be in your head thinking about things that aren't real or that are coming. You'd just be here now.
Yeah. Is kiss compatibility a genuine lead indicator of sexual compatibility?
Ooh, that is such a good one. In a way, yes, it will tell you a lot, that first kiss. It will tell you if you've got that natural match in your bodies with connection and speed, tempo, the level of intensity. But the thing is with kissing, like anything that we do with our body, it can be a learned skill as well. So whilst it might give you like an instant little piece of information that, okay, this might be hot, it can still change and you can still improve things like that. So it's not a deal breaker.
Do you reckon? Sorry, go, Maddie.
Oh, I was just going to say, I feel like it can be a good cue of whether this person can listen as well. Like, because when you're kissing someone and they're going 90 and you're going 10, and it's like, dude, read what's happening and pull back a little bit. And if they can't, it's like, to me, that's actually a red flag early on. It's not necessarily a deal breaker, as you say, Morgan, because that people can learn how to kiss with whoever they are currently kissing. But to me, it's like, that's a red flag that you can't listen, or that communication is possibly not a strong thing for you.
Yeah, that you're not like tuning into what the other person is giving you as information.
Yeah.
Oh,
totally. And you can totally see if someone's like more dominant the other, if the other person's submissive, if you're going to have a battle of the wills, if you're both vying for like the most powerful tongue. Yeah.
There's a lot to it, isn't it? There's a lot to it. It's just a kiss, but there's a lot going on.
But it's not. What should we do with our toys when we are no longer using them? Op shop is not an option.
I wish it was, though.
Same.
There should be a little sealed section in the op shop for R18s.
Well, some brands actually do have like a scheme where you can send them back and they will dispose of them in an ethical way, which I really celebrate. I think that's great. There actually is a secondhand market for toys. So, yes, I've seen this.
Chuck them through the dishwasher, right?
Well, I don't know what they do, but people are buying secondhand toys. And I found it really interesting to me, fascinating, and people don't seem to have any like issues with it. So I think like if you're going to throw it out, if it's kaput, there are some recyclable materials like silicone that some places will, but I mean the rigmarole to do it. I mean we all love the planet, but for God's sakes, I reckon just clean it and throw it out.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, hey, we can't be bloody perfect, can we? Truly.
No, exactly. And if you're not going to make some garden art out of it or something, then throw it out.
Imagine that, just a little penis shrine in your backyard. A gnome and a penis.
A gnome and a penis. I would love to see an art installation of everyone's rejected toys. I think that would be fantastic.
Let's make it happen, I reckon.
Let's do it.
Okay, this is another listener question, but she said, I'm a latecomer to orgasms and can only orgasm with vibrators. I've tried hands and it's boring, slow, and frustrating. Is that detrimental?
Firstly, we want to celebrate any kind of orgasm, right? We don't really want to make hierarchies out of orgasms. So, like, great that her body got to that point, especially after not having it for a long time. But the thing is, if she can orgasm through high intensity vibrators, she can definitely orgasm through hands. But this kind of comes back to reorienting back to the subtleties of pleasure again in your body. And whilst she might find it like a bit boring with going acoustic with the phalanges, I highly recommend it, because actually then you're moving at the speed of your body. And so the building of it, everything feels so much more integrated. And then when that orgasm comes, it's way more expansive for the whole body, not just the genitals and the clitoris that gets this intense vibration from a sex toy. So the great thing about neuroplasticity, which just means we can change habits and we can change new ways of being in the body, is that the more you do something, the stronger your neural pathway is with that. And so yes, it might feel boring with using your hands and fingers when you've been using like toys, but if you just keep doing that for, say 3 days in a row without a vibrator, you're going to start to feel more pleasure. And I think it's worth it putting in the time. And we're living in a time where we want things really quickly. But the thing about the body and orgasms is it actually requires us to really relax and surrender and to take our time. And our bodies deserve that, actually. Our bodies will start to shut down when we are requesting hard and fast of it in any capacity.
Yeah, I quite like that actually, because I guess it can be about the journey as well. It's not necessarily like what's the fastest way and most efficient way for me to get to an orgasm. It's more like, how can I feel amazing within myself and feel like I'm connecting with my body, even though it's slow. That whole process is an important connective part for you and your body, rather than just like, boom, get to an orgasm, bish, bash, bosh, on with your day.
Yeah. And
Couldn't
just like
agree more.
letting it be slow sometimes.
Yeah.
Because sometimes I reckon if you just knock one out with a toy, like it doesn't feel like enough, because I think that the journey has been so rushed. By the time you get there, you're like, well, I don't feel done.
Yeah, like
You
I
know?
was just kind of settling in, and now it's just, okay.
Yeah.
Finished.
So my top tip for like getting back to the acoustic is wait till you have to go on a trip where you're only taking carrying on and you're too embarrassed to take a toy. And then like then you're away and then you're like, well, this is my only option.
Yeah. I've only got a hand.
I've only got a hand.
Let's
Yeah.
make use of it.
Yep. Yeah.
Hot tip.
Is it true, Morgan, that the cervix is all the same depth in all women and that size matters is just a myth?
No, it is different depths for different bodies, because the vaginal canal is different sizes and lengths for every person. And this myth about size, are they talking about the cervix or are they talking about?
I think they're talking about penis size there.
Oh, penis size.
Oh, right.
Being
yeah.
Like in connection to the cervix or just?
Well, I think they're saying like if the cervix is the same like depth in everyone, then size doesn't really matter. Then that doesn't mean anything.
You've just had a little
I know. Well, look, and I am
up behind you.
Look,
I've got fireworks.
Looks like you're orgasming over there. There's like full celebration.
Honestly, it hasn't taken long. Yeah.
I have that.
Oh my God,
I know. Isn't that great?
don't
Do you
have
guys
it.
have that too?
No,
I don't have it.
Well,
but
Anyway.
I'm done.
We'll have to go manual. We're going acoustic.
You'll have to go
Morgan.
acoustic.
Fine.
So what is interesting is that physiologically, when vagina owners are aroused and properly, and it takes 30 to 40 minutes for all of that system to come online, is that the cervix will actually lift up to make space for a penis entering. Whether you're a lesbian or if you want something in there or not, the body thinks, oh my God, a penis is coming. I might get pregnant. I'm making more space so that we can have this. And so actually the vaginal canal doubles in length at that time.
Oh my God,
Doubles.
that's fascinating.
Yeah. And so often I have a lot of people that come to me that are experiencing painful sex, and we've got to go through a bit of a process of elimination to figure out exactly what that pain is and what's causing it. And a lot of the time, women are having penetrative sex when their body is not actually open and ready to fully receive. And it can be really painful for the cervix to be hit by a penis or fingers or anything else that's going inside. And so in terms of like the size of what's going in there, in the pleasure spots that it's potentially hitting, it really doesn't. It depends what you like internally and what parts of your vagina are potentially the most excitable. You know, for some people, it really is that G crest area, which is just on the top wall. When you first sort of go in, you can feel this little ridgy bit. If you go in full index finger depth, you will find the A spot, which just stands for the anterior wall. But you'll find there's just like a little ridge in the top up there, just a little dent, and that has got a high nerve concentration. So that can feel really good. For some people, cervical orgasms are, well, for me personally, it can take you to the cosmos, you know, so you do want something that can reach into that depth. Or like it might be your bottom wall, and then it's your P spot and your K spot. And so there's lots of differences for different bodies of what's going to feel really good.
Amazing. So can you just say, what does K spot and P spot stand for? What's the K and the P?
The P spot stands for the posterior wall. So we've got the anterior wall, the top wall, the posterior wall, which is the vaginal lining is really thin, and that goes like literally into the anus. So when you are in there, you can feel the anal wall. So often when I'm yoni mapping women where I'm internal and I'm like, say, this is your P spot, and we figure out the sensation there. If they're really loving it, I say, have you tried any kind of butt play before? And if they say no, I say, well, I've got a hunch that you're going to really like it. Or people say yes, and I love butt stuff. I'm like, yes, I can tell. So yeah. And the K spot,
so interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, it is interesting. The K spot, I don't even know what that stands for, but that is just another part further closer to the cervix on that posterior wall.
Okay. I want a yoni mapping.
You want these phalanges, do you?
I sure do. Like, because like sometimes you know what feels good when it's happening, but you don't. I couldn't name the destination. You know, like, and no, I want to know. Okay, well, we do have a butt question now, and the question is, and this is a term that I have not heard before: is there a second cherry in the butthole in men and women, an area that brings greater pleasure, but you apparently have to be big enough to get to it? Is that a real thing?
Sorry, a cherry, so a hot spot. Is that what they're meaning? A hot spot in both men and women?
That's the term that I was given, a second cherry. And I'm like, never, I've heard a lot of things.
Do they mean like clitoris?
No, because in the bum hole. So
yeah, I know, but like, do they mean second cherry in the butthole, like in terms of first cherry as clitoris?
I don't know. But okay, this is all the information I've got. But apparently, it's an area that brings greater pleasure, but you have to be big enough to get to it.
Well, I think that they're talking about how the male's prostate, like their prostate, is their G spot. Yeah. So I would say that that's what they're talking about, and they're wondering if women have that, but we've got ours in our vagina. And it's really interesting because the prostate is where the urine goes through, and so it's a part of the body, and so does our G spot. So it's really linked in to our urethra and our urethral lining. It's very spongy, and for men, yeah, it is in the anus, and it is about 2 knuckles deep if you're working with an index finger. So you know, they're sort of asking about size, reaching. But, you know, like in terms of women having a prostate in our bums, we don't, but we can still have a lot of pleasure. And it really just comes down to nerves and where your nerves innervate. So everybody's body is different. So in terms of pleasure, but quite often you can get those parts more online if you are just working with it. So many people don't even explore that area because, well, there's lots of connotations with it. There's, you know, society tells us it's exit only. I mean, that's what my mum told me my whole life. She also told me, like, Clement girls don't do anal. That's what I got. Like, I was like, okay, right, got noted. But there can be a lot of pleasure in there. The only other thing that's making me think of is asking about the second, because we've got 2 sphincters. We've got the one on the outside, which we control, which is that kind of like, oh no, I can't poo right now. Like it's not, there's too many people around.
It's inappropriate.
Exactly, inappropriate. But we've also got the internal sphincter, which is controlled by our autonomic nervous system, which we actually don't have any control over, which is in the smooth muscle, which is in quite a bit deeper. So I'm not 100% sure on what this person's asking about, but I hope there's a bit of info for you.
Okay, well, that's more than what we had before.
This one, I think so many people will be able to relate to. How do you get out of a habit of saying no to sexy times during the working week because you're tired?
Oh, yeah, I really get that though, because, people are really exhausted. And what we have to remember in these times is actually like orgasmic energy is life force energy. So even if you think about times where you're in the throes of passion, you're actually really alive. Like you feel really good. There's blood flow. You're breathing more deeper. So you're getting good oxygen. You're actually coming more alive. And so it is a good thing to think about the pros of having sex. You become more glowy, you feel good, you get endorphins, you get oxytocin. And I just think sometimes the biggest barrier is starting. So if you can find something that actually gets you in the mood, whether or not that's like listening to audio erotica on your way home, whether that is like, that a nice shower and just feeling really clean, or having your to-do list done, or, your
little
partner.
Massage.
Yeah. I just think, just attempting a start without any pressure of going any further, because I think this is what really stops people, is they think, I won't even send that dirty text if I'm feeling horny at 3:00, because by 7:00 I won't be feeling it anymore. But the thing is, we want to keep the fire burning, whether or not you're going through with it or not, so that it doesn't like stop that flow of connection. And we're always looking for bridges to intimacy and sex. And there is this term we call maintenance sex. And it's not a bad thing. It's like you're choosing to do something, because everybody will have individual reasons of why they would, but it might be just for connection with that partner. It might be because it makes you feel good. It might be because, when you are doing that, that you're a team with your partner. So that's not a bad thing either, as long as you're honoring your body, because so many people are like, well, I don't feel like it, but then when I do it, I love it. And it's like, yeah, I hear you. It's just like going to the gym,
Yeah, as we've talked about it on the pod, Bean, as our mothers have said, sometimes you just got to get in the boat and start rowing,
Yeah.
Totally.
I love that so much. But also, I think it's important to remember how good a post-sex sleep is. Don't you think?
Yeah.
And yeah, it's delightful. The second one is, the next one, how often is normal to have sex before having kids and after you've had kids, after over 7 years in a relationship? It's very specific.
Yes, it is very specific.
And I worry about the word normal. I mean, that's just that I sort of flag that, and I'm like,
it kind of is normal,
because
right?
but it is also, it kind of speaks to like putting pressure on, like, and shoulding on the sex life, and comparing as well to other people. And so I always worry a little bit when like, so how much is normal before kids and how much is normal after kids? Anyway, Morgan, what's your comment?
Yeah, well, thank you for saying that, because that's exactly what I would have said as well. How I normally answer this, because I get asked all the time, like, what's the right amount and what, is healthy? And I always say it's whatever the person who wants it least wants. That's what's normal. That's what's right. And I think it does open up a bigger conversation, though, within that couple. What feels good for you? And is there a middle ground? Are you on the same page? Are there different things, different needs that a person has to feel like they could either up that or down that? It's so individual.
And I think it's important to remember that, like, if it's not a problem for you, then it's not a problem. Like, sometimes there are couples that don't have that much sex, but they're both fine with it. But they think, maybe we should be having more. But if you're happy, then it's not an issue. Have as much sex as you bloody want.
Absolutely. Do you know, it's so funny. I have people come to me and they tell me how often they're having it, and blah blah blah, and then I'm like, okay, and does that feel good for you, or do you want a different amount? They're like, no, that feels good for me. I'm like, okay. what are we doing here? You know,
Keep going.
it's
Yeah.
like they think that actually they have to change or they should. And then when they realize, no, that feels good for me, I don't want to change that. It's like, cool, then we work on other things, you know? So,
Yeah.
And
yeah.
also, like, don't be hard on yourselves when you're at a season in your life where getting as much sex as you think might be right or normal or feel good when it's not quite there. Like, you know, especially if you're in the trenches with kids or work or whatever, like there's just going to be seasons where it's harder, but that time will also pass.
It's
That's
definitely peaks and
great call.
troughs.
Yeah, and I think with
Yeah.
kids as well, I don't know if there's more questions about this, but often people look back to what was and how they were and they want to get back there, but it's like you're actually in a whole new body. You feel differently, and so we have to work with what's actually presenting now and get to know your body now instead of like glorifying what was. It's just like really being present with what your body needs and desires now.
Yeah. And there's another thing I want to talk about in that is that, you know, when there is a mismatch in libido and desire for the amount of sex you're having, how do couples navigate in a conversation maybe addressing the gap for the person who's really desiring it more?
Yeah, well, it's a hard one because it's not usually actually about sex, because we have to remember that overarching, like, your pleasure is nobody else's job, you know? So you can absolutely self soothe yourself with whatever you need. It's usually more about connection or touch or something else that they're wanting from that person, validation from with words, or it's like if it's just pleasure, they can actually just go and have sex with themselves, you know? So it's really about getting underneath the surface about what they are really needing.
Yeah. Okay, so the next one is, when you're single, how do you start building pleasure into your life when it's been taboo and shameful for so long? And how do you begin to access these deeper experiences? How do we take little rebellious actions, I love that, to remove the shame and increase access to pleasure without guilt?
Yeah, it sounds like shame and guilt are really the forefront for this person, which is a real shame because it's actually really common. And that can be just family of origin, upbringing, things, and society as well. And really, so yeah, the act of rebellion, like it is rebellious to really claim your pleasure and to decide that you are worthy of it and that it's really important to you. And so I think that it sounds like you know that cognitively, but you need to embody that. And so really what I would say is mirror work. Mirror work is a really beautiful way to see yourself, and it can be really confronting. I'm not just talking about your body, but like seeing your soul through your eyes and to see those beliefs sitting in your body, and then to start taking action to change that, which would be, you know, like embracing your sensualness, I would say, before even getting to the sexual, is really seeing if you can dance sensually, seeing if you can feel sensuality in the body, and just letting that become really normal in a way that's not sexualized or overtly out there, so that you, because this is all nervous system work. Shame lives in the nervous system. It's normally formed in the first 7 years. And so what you need to do is normalize that sensual sort of orgasmic energy in your system so you have capacity to hold it. It makes it a lot easier then to connect with somebody else or to actually turn that sensual energy sexual. So yeah, I would say dance, movement, touching yourself in places maybe that doesn't feel so sexual at the start, maybe like breast massage. So you're using parts of your body that are deemed potentially sexual or that have got pleasure capacity, and just like touching them with love and care and bringing some sensuality into those spaces. It's a big piece of work. So I would kind of recommend even having, you know, reaching out to therapists or, you know, people that can hold that container for you.
Yeah.
That is a journey.
How can a woman relax her body during sex so that penetration doesn't hurt?
Mm. Yeah, so we've kind of covered a little bit with that, really making sure that you are physically ready. So taking the time, you know, making sure the mind is turned on first, because the mind is going to help with blood flow to the vulva and to the vagina and to the entrance of the vagina. And more blood flow that we have to that area, the less pain you're going to have as well. And so you really want to give your body time to get that blood down there. So movement, a lot of people in sex actually lie quite stiff. You want to be moving and rocking your hips. That is going to give continuous blood flow. Unlike penis owners where the blood rushes in and then the capillaries shut up and keep that penis hard, women don't have a big structure like that. Our clitoris is really small and we need to keep flushing blood in. So we need movement and we need breath as well. Because quite often we hold our breath to try and build up pleasure and to get to the orgasm. But what we do when we do that is it keeps it really small. When we can breathe and move, it actually moves the orgasmic energy all through your body. So your whole body's online and it softens everything. It helps relax everything and open everything. And really, that pain shouldn't be there. And so it is worth a line of inquiry to see what is happening with that. It's common, yes, but it's not normal. So yeah.
I had a very similar situation and it took me a while to figure it out, but I realized that it was from, I think, having sex for the first time after having my first child. And I was really nervous and like a bit kind of like, ooh, and then it was a bit painful. And then I think it just compounded. And then like that was what I expected, was a little bit of pain during sex pretty much every time. Then it kind of got worse and it wasn't going anywhere. And at the same time, I was quite ticklish. And I just thought like that was my body. It's like, oh, it's so annoying. It's kind of getting in the way, me being ticklish during intimate time. But the more research I did on it, I was like, it makes total sense, because I guess being ticklish is your body, it's a sign that your body's not ready, it's sort of trying to say like, I don't want to be touched at the moment. I don't want to be touched yet. And breath has been like magic for me, and just time and breath and not rushing anything and making sure that you're present in your body and not sort of like up here, more down there. And it's been such a big turnaround. And it all from basically one time, that's what I found really fascinating, that it can have that much of a psychological effect.
Thank you for sharing that. And I work really closely with like people that have vaginismus, which is like a lot of pain, and potentially you can't even have penetrative sex at all because of that pain and the vagina closing up. But it's exactly what you're talking about. It's the fear and then the pain, and the fear pain cycle that just keeps looping, and you literally need a circuit breaker. Otherwise, the more and more that happens, exactly what I was saying about neuroplasticity, is it creates a really strong neural pathway that a once being pleasure area is now a pain area, and the body is like, no way. And it is, I often have to ask clients, what comes first, the physical pain or the concept of pain? And it's normally the concept of pain. So it really is about relaxation and going slow and presence in the body. So that's really
breaking the cycle.
Useful to share, I think. So thank you.
Oh yeah, I think that's going to help so many people, Maddie. I'm also happy for you.
Thank you.
Yes,
Thank you.
Great. What would you suggest as the first thing a woman can do who struggles to have an orgasm with a partner at all?
Wow. Yeah. Okay. I'd be curious if this person can orgasm alone. I'm kind of thinking maybe, and they're just noticing the difference with a partner. I would give directions of what you do for yourself. Either show them or give them directions. It's really hot to show somebody, and it's a really intimate thing. Actually, we call it witnessing, and it's really powerful, and it can be really, really hard, but it's going to take you to a new level with this person. And it really comes down to communication, radical honesty about it. And sometimes it's good to give yourself a marker of say 1 to 10. So if you're talking and communicating with this person, you use the 1 to 10 scale as like what you're noticing and what you're feeling, because often people get to about a 6 and it's feeling really, really good, and then they get in their head like, oh no, but I'm not going to orgasm, so it's probably, or they're looking for it like, is it going to be this time? And then they add all this pressure. And so actually if they can just stick with like, oh, I'm feeling a 6, it's feeling really, really good. 7, 8, 9, 10 is the orgasm. Like 9, I think I'm really close. Can you keep doing this, or can you do that? Or it just allows both people to be on the same page, because often during sex, especially when it comes to orgasm, everybody's sort of in their own head about it and they're not communicating what's really going on. If this is a hetero couple, then a guy is usually really focused on allowing a woman to come first or not coming too soon, so they're actually delaying their pleasure, whilst a woman often feels very pressured to hurry up an orgasm. So if we actually just like talked about what was happening, it's actually quite hot when we share it in a way that's, like, oh, it's feeling good. Oh, I'm going up to a 3 or a 4 and to give each other different times when you get to just have a free-for-all. Like, do not worry about me, babe. Like, you just have fun and you come when you want. Don't even worry. Like, it's, you're just going to take the pressure off, have some hearty comms, and surrender. Surrender is a big piece. And like, I'd be asking, like, how much do you really trust this person, like on all levels, do you feel safe in your heart with this person as well? Yeah.
So much comes down to communication, doesn't it? We often talk about that on the pod.
And also I think like the age that we are, like when we started our sexual journeys with partners, it was still that time where you kind of like got what you got, and like we didn't realize that we could ask or feedback or give direction, or that we had a voice in that. It was like you just kind of hope it's going to work out well for you, but you just are on the receiving end of whatever they're going to give. And how things have changed, which is so good. But some of us, like it takes time to find that voice and actually realize that it is hot when you do. And it is like to have sovereignty over yourself and really own that. It's a great part of it. And then you're sort of working more as a team, and it's just, rather than it's one person's experience and you get what you get, don't get upset,
That is beautiful. Yeah, 100%. Oh my God, that resonates so much. You actually just like took it. Okay, whatever you're doing, what you're serving up, that's going to be fine, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And so often.
I guess we'll just, I guess that's it.
Yeah. And so that reclamation piece is like beautiful.
That's actually a perfect segue into our next question.
Great.
And that is, why is it that when there feels like there's a strong energetic connection between you and a sexual partner, it's easier to unlock orgasm, and with others, the sex just falls flat, even when you want to really like them?
Yeah, there's a mix of psychology in there, and I think it's a little bit of like that pressure piece again. Like if you just like got gay abandon and you're just like going for it and you're kind of in it for yourself, then yeah, of course you're gonna orgasm, and there's a bit more freedom. And when you're a bit more invested and you care, and it's a bit, I don't know. It's a
You're
really
kind of putting
interesting
too
one,
much
actually.
pressure on it. If you want to really like someone, maybe there's this pre-expectation of what it's going to be like, or
I know the questioner. She is our recent trampolinist that we had on the pod.
Yes, the famous trampolinist.
Famous trampolinist.
Wow.
Well, that's a whole other story.
Okay.
So what she's saying is sometimes when you connect with someone, it's just like this like intoxicating, energetic connection, and the sex is off the charts. Sometimes it's not necessarily a healthy connection, but it's like so intoxicating. And then sometimes you want to like someone because you think they'd be really good for you and good to date, but it's just not there. So it's like that intense chemistry. Why does that just make your body explode versus kind of seeing someone as like, oh, maybe that'd be good for me on paper, but then the sex is falling flat?
Yeah, it literally comes down to chemistry, which is like pheromones, which is us being in our like primal body. most of us have all experienced that, right? Whether you just see, you're near someone, you feel something, there's a desire, there's activation in the body, and that can happen, and it can happen many times throughout our lives with different people. And that's what shows that we are animals and that we're not necessarily meant to just be monogamous. That's something as a society we've chosen as a suitable way to behave. But actually, our bodies can connect like that with so many other bodies. And I think what's really funny is like when you see a list on, like when people talk, oh yeah, they tick all my boxes, and on paper, like they're perfect for me. Like we're trying to cognitively make sense of like, oh, this is a good person. Whereas your body is like, hell no, I just want to go over to the neighbor's house that really turned me on, and get my end away.
Yeah.
And there is a specific hunger that comes through, and that also then leads into like limerence, which is kind of like a crush and this idealization of a person that's not necessarily true, but because you feel so good in your body, you think it should be love, or it should be what we see in movies, but it's not necessarily what we're deciding is on our list or what is actually good for us. I think chemistry is really important in a romantic relationship. I think we can make good choices for ourselves within that as well, but you do need to be attracted to someone. You do need to feel like you are compatible in that area, because if you're choosing especially to be monogamous and that's the only person you're going to get down and dirty with, you want it to be good. That's what's going to keep you together.
Absolutely. Yeah. There's two parts to this question. First part is, I feel that when you're intimate with someone, that has an impact on your own energy when someone else is invited into it. What's your take on energetic imprints from sexual partners and the impact they can have, particularly if it turns out to be a negative experience at the end of a relationship?
I used to really believe in this because I do believe in energy. I think, we've all got energy and we can feel it. You can walk into a room and you can feel energy if it's off or it's cold or, but I don't think it actually lasts. Like, I think that's a bit of a almost like feeding into like this almost like slut shaming piece that you're carrying around other people's bits. So I think you can absolutely cleanse that like you can with any other energy cleansing, which is just like water is great for cleansing, sacred smoke is great for cleansing. So I think, yes, especially as women and like vagina owners, we're receptacles. We literally take another body really into us if we're having penetrative sex. And I think energetically in that moment that can be happening. But I also think, especially if you're a bleeding woman with a menstrual cycle, you are cleansing every month anyways. And there's such a release in that space. So I don't buy into it anymore in terms of people like sticking with you energetically. Do you two have a thought about that?
Yeah, I do. Do you, Maddie?
Yeah, I agree with you, Morgan. I don't feel like I'm carrying around any excess energy from anyone else, if I'm totally honest. I don't know. How about you, Bean?
I definitely have had like stickier connections. But I think it was like, it's not just about the sex and them being, really invited into my energetic space. It's been about needing to complete that entire connection and what needed to be finished off, and that really in the end came down to things that had to be said to complete it. And so it came down to that communication piece. And when, all of that had been done, all of that had been said, then that sense of that pull, that energetic tie dissipated and was gone. But until that piece had been finished, I really could feel it.
Right.
Yeah.
So, I think it's interesting because I think, there's a choice if you want to be energetically connected to someone as well, or if someone is actively energetically trying to connect with you.
Yeah, so the second part was like, how can we shake them out of our system when that connection has been intoxicating and it's not healthy or sustainable, and you want to like get rid of that, what feels like an addictive pull.
Yeah. So there's a few things. There's cord cutting meditations, which I really recommend because it kind of helps you cognitively get clear. Like you do want to cut this energetic connection with this person. So they can guide you through. There's heaps on YouTube, just guided meditations to feel like you can cut. But for me, energetically with the body, because I work with with the body. Quite often people that have had boundary violations especially want to feel like they are disconnected. And so whether or not this is psychological for them in their head or not, we do a movement, which I can like show you. I've got a mini skirt on, so it could
Watch on YouTube, everybody.
could get really weird. But
This is great.
Yeah,
you
love it.
kind of take a really powerful stance. So you've got your feet and legs sort of spread and grounded on the earth or ground, and you put your hands on your hips to begin with and just feel solid, get a bend in your knees.
Almost like a goddess pose, like a yoga goddess pose.
You got it. And then you take a little squat and you get your hands and you put them over in a cross shape. And as you stand up, you go cut and you stand up. Or you say no. It's whatever feels right for you, but you're literally like cutting in front of you, and you can cut all around your body.
Yeah.
But it just feels like you're really becoming a sovereign being again, like in terms of your space and your body.
I love that.
Yeah, it's great.
Can you just do that even when you feel like you don't need to? Because it just feels like a good thing to do. To be able to do that, you know?
If you feel like you've had a shit day, or people are like coming at you from all angles and you're sick of it and you just want to be in your space, yes, I think that's a beautiful thing. And I think we need to use the body more, right? Because this is the integration of things. It feels so much more. You feel connected on a cellular level when you're just like, no, blocking things off. Yeah,
that's
totally
powerful.
Okay, next one is my partner struggles with erectile dysfunction. He's taking medication, but it's now beginning to be less effective. He traces the beginning of the issue back to when he cheated on a former girlfriend towards the end of their then troubled relationship, despite this being out of character. We both feel like this issue is more than just mechanical, and he's not sure what to do to heal or progress from here. Although our sex life is amazing, this can be really heartbreaking for him and bring on a lot of anxiety when he gets in his head about it. What would you suggest?
Yeah, it definitely sounds very psychological more than physiological.
Yeah.
And firstly, especially when it is psychological, we don't use the word dysfunction because that in itself is pretty yuck. We just say difficulty. So it's still ED, but it's just some difficulties because it can be overcome. And it sounds like he's holding on to like guilt and shame about his actions with the past relationship. And really, so he needs to consolidate that. He needs to do whatever work it takes to really like rid himself of holding on to that, especially if he is committed to showing up differently in this current relationship. And really, what's kind of interesting about it is that he's kind of cheating this current partner of a like really beautiful connection with him. So he's kind of doing it again in a different form, and he probably doesn't see it like that. And it's probably quite harsh of me to just whip in there where I don't know all the details, but you know, it's often a cycle. People repeat things in different ways. And so he's probably feeling like that, like he is cheating in some way. Again, he probably feels guilty that he's not connecting with his partner in the way that he could or should. And really he needs to reclaim his pleasure, know that even though he's you know, hasn't acted with integrity in the past, he still deserves pleasure and it's okay. And I think, he's made it bad. And so it's kind of this loop. It's kind of like the fear pain loop. It's like this guilt, shame. And so he'll be really in his head about it. So there are a lot of ways to work with the body with it as well, which is really making sure that you're getting the whole body online slowly and not focusing on the genitals. It's the whole body and taking whatever the pressure, whatever looks like pressure to this person, taking that away and doing things differently.
So this question is from a sexuality, sexual health and sexual expression perspective. And for women going through perimenopause and menopause, what would you suggest as they navigate physical, emotional and hormonal changes?
It is really about getting in tune with what is happening with your body currently and what feels good for it, because this is a time of quite a bit of change in the body and what the body is desiring. I hear from a lot of people, they have been sharing a bed with someone for years and then all of a sudden they don't want to be touched at night. And so it really is figuring out what would feel good for you. The sexual expression piece is really interesting because if you haven't kind of gotten into your full sexual expression already by this point, then it doesn't make any difference to me. I think this is like a journey that is worth taking whatever stage you're in life. I don't think that changes at all. But it's just about what feels good for you and what you want. And often we don't know what we don't know. So this is why it's quite good to, I don't know, be with a professional that can kind of guide you and teach you and educate you. And with your partner, if you've got a partner, it would be about discussing what you want to try together and what expression is not being expressed that you really want to.
Yep, I love that. Can we talk about squirting? Why?
Of course.
Why is it? Why is it that now that I've started squirting with my new partner, I can't seem to stop? Is it pee? Is it not? What is going on?
No, it's definitely not pee. There may be some little bits of urine in it, and the compounds of that fluid are similar to urine, but it's not. This actually does happen. People start or they teach themselves to squirt and then they can't stop. It's like literally the waterworks are on. But you kind of can train yourself, but it's really it's a hard one because you don't want to be stopping the surrender into pleasure. And when I'm teaching people how to squirt, it does take this moment of like full abandon, because it feels like you are going to pee. That's what it feels like in the body. That's the sensation. And then that's the piece where you actually let go. And so that's the piece where that person has to identify really clearly in their own body of where to actually then clench muscles and to cognitively connect in instead of just like letting the body go into that space. So there are warning signs from the body. Sometimes when people haven't squirted before, it is quite a shock and you don't really notice all those bits moving into, all the signs that are happening. But the more that you'll do it, the more you'll get really clear, like, oh, this happens, this happens, this happens. And you need to find the place where you can interrupt it. But yeah, I mean, you just have to decide if that's an issue or not. Maybe it's great, buy yourself a splash blanket and enjoy it. It's
Let's go to town.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing. I think it comes out of the prostate and the Skene's glands. So it's actually a really beautiful flushing of the body. It's the same as like milking the prostate that's in the man's anus. It's really good, healthy for the body, actually.
What if women want to start squirting? Is there like a how-to guide?
Yes. Yeah, there is. It really is about learning how to stimulate your G-spot and to warm it up and like get it to a place where it feels really, really good. And then again, surrendering. You want to be well hydrated, because like in the moments lead up, the body takes so much of your water and brings it down into that area and turns it into that prostatic fluid to come out the urethra. So it's a wild old time, and you can do it. But I mean, I taught myself how to do it out of just like pure body research, and it took me a long time, even though I'd heard all the how-tos, I'd done my research, I'd learned about it in my classes, to actually get to the point of doing it and trying different positions, like on my back, on my knees. It's different for everybody.
Right. It's a fun little bit of homework that everyone can have a go at.
Yes, report back next week, please.
Please,
Hannah.
yeah, please DM us.
Let us know.
I'm already there. I've got it. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Oh, well done,
Splash blanket at the ready. Thank you, Maddie. Thank you. Proud of me.
Yeah, quite
Well,
an
Maddie,
achievement.
you're up then. Body on the line.
Yeah, you report back.
Okay, I'm on it, guys. I'm on it.
All right. I'm in a new relationship. The connection is incredible and the sex and intimacy is really important to both of us. It's something we want to honour and maintain over the years to come. What are some things you recommend to couples who are in a long-term relationship to keep the home fires burning?
I love that. Other than communication, which we all know is like the most important thing, it is, if you've got that foundation, then if you're doing long term with someone, you're planning years and years and years, you are going to go into those seasons like you talked about before, Hannah. And so like really checking in, I really recommend relationship check-ins. And one of the questions should be like, how are you feeling in your sensual body at the moment? Have you got any desires, curiosities? And just knowing that like, as we are quirky humans every day wanting to wear different things, eat different things, our body wants different things every day as well. And so not assuming that because you do sex one way, for a couple of months, that's how that person wants to be made love to for the rest of their lives. And I think there's a really beautiful framework, which is just called the 3-minute game. And you literally sit in front of each other, you set the timer, one person starts and they say, how would you like me to touch you? And you get to just feel into you in your body in that moment, and you get to decide what that is. Like, I actually think I'd really love you to just nibble on my earlobe. And then that person can be like, okay, great, I'll do that. If it's an enthusiastic yes from them, then they do it for 3 minutes. And I mean, like, if that person is really into receiving that and loves it, like, that is going to open up their whole body. And it helps you to hone your imagination. It helps you to hone into what your body's desiring in that very moment. And it can lead to all sorts of like weirdness and weird pleasure and weird touches and things that you wouldn't normally have tried. So it's a nice way to keep things exciting and to keep the intimacy and to keep physical touch there without any expectation of sexual, like it turning really sexual.
Yeah.
And then the other question to ask is, how do you want to touch me for 3 minutes? And so that's actually a taking touch. So that person gets to decide how they would like to touch and take from your body in a very consenting way. And that's really hot to watch somebody else getting enjoyment from your body without you having to even necessarily do anything.
Yeah.
That's really cool. What I love about that is that it's really playful and experimental and creative. And it's not like that one thing has to work and lead to something else, because if it doesn't work, you can also laugh about it, and it doesn't mean you're locked into any kind of agreement or going in any particular direction. And I think that's a really cool, I think like keeping it playful and light and being able to communicate through that time is so important, because it teaches you as well how to talk and communicate and just be silly. Like, it's fun to be silly.
And how sometimes like intimacy doesn't have to be all intense, it can just start playful and fun. Which brings us on to our last question. And this is actually a beautiful question to finish on, I think. I feel like sometimes we are just scratching the surface with the experience of what sex can really bring us. When it's really connected and unified and transcendent, it can be otherworldly. There are other times when it just feels purely mechanical and empty or functional. What are the places that it is possible to go with sex and pleasure, and how can we work to get there?
When they say places to go, do they mean on a body, spiritual level? Are they talking about like actual, like, I'm going to go to the Buddhist center, or like?
I think they mean,
I read that as like spiritually.
And
Yeah. I think it depends on where you want to go, because I think it is kind of limitless, actually. And that's why I'm really, an advocate for open relationships or whatever feels good for you. But I actually think when it's just two bodies that have committed to each other, that are only using their energies with each other and going to deep depths and bearing your soul, in terms of like, nothing is off the table communication wise. Vulnerability is really seen and held, and safety is at the forefront. You can go so deep. Like, I've had really incredible experiences myself, so I know that this is possible for the body, where you almost don't even feel like a body, where you just feel so consumed, so safe, like you're in the stars. Yeah, I mean, it's hard to explain those kind of actual physical feelings in the body as well. But it does require such a surrender and opening on all levels, and it is possible. And there's some amazing books out there these days. If you look at the old school Tantra, the neo-Buddhist spirituality, sex, it's all there. It's really old stuff. But even for men, like with semen retention, and there's just so many things that you can do to explore, to hold your sexual energy in, and then to share it with a person. I went to a sex school where I learned so much about that kind of spiritual side, where you could just energetically, have sex with someone's heart. And I was like, this is weird, but it cracked open that space for me. So now when I have sex on a physical level, I'm also penetrating the heart energetically. So it does take it to another level. Yeah. I don't
That's
know. Does that
beautiful.
answer that?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, I think it answers it perfectly. And what a great spot to end the chat on. Morgan, thank you so much for your time and wisdom today and answering everyone's amazing questions. And thank you to everyone who sent in a question. We really appreciate it. And so many of those questions will be able to help so many others who didn't write in a question but are experiencing something similar. So thank you so much, Morgan. We so appreciate your time.
Oh, it's my
Yeah.
pleasure. And I want to thank you for, opening the space so that as a society we can normalize healthy sex and know that we're not alone and we can all upgrade a bit together. So thank you.
Thank you,
100%.
Morgan. Thank you for the work that you do and everything that you're bringing forward and offering everyone, and just sharing so much of yourself as well in your show. It just takes incredible courage and vulnerability, and it's really beautiful. And yeah, we really honor you for that.
Oh, thank you, Hannah. Thanks for seeing me.
It's a pleasure. All right. Oh, everyone's going to love this. I can't wait to share it.
I
can't wait
know.
to share it. All right. I hope everyone enjoyed that listen. Take care out there, everybody. Lots of love.
Bye. Thank you for listening to this episode of Untidy. If you enjoyed it, we'd love your support to keep making the show. The best thing you can do to help is subscribe by hitting follow in your podcast app and leaving us a little 5-star review. You can also now watch and subscribe on YouTube and check out how these millennials are keeping up with the cool kids on TikTok and the gram. Lastly, please share this podcast with your mates. It means that we can keep building this supportive community, keep giving you untidy episodes, and just keep doing what we love to do.
Don't forget to check out mybigmoments.com for kids' books that make your tricky job of parenting a whole lot easier. Untidy listeners get a discount at checkout, so just pop in Untidy for 10% off your order. Lastly, we would like to thank all of the good people who make this podcast possible. Flicker Williams and Joe Rocker at My Big Moments for the beautiful artwork and design, Maxine London Creative for editing this episode, and Lana Byrne for creating our social content. And to you, our listeners, Aroha nui, take care. We'll see you soon.